States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, is everybody ready for an exciting evening in Depoe Bay?
Yeah.
I am, but are you talking like somewhere else than here?
The meeting of Depoe Bay City Council will come to order. It's the 16th day of August. Call please.
Fisher Brown. Here. Wiseman. Gambino.
Here.
Mathala.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Grant.
Thanks.
And if somebody would like to approve the minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes of both the executive session and the regular city council meeting of August 2nd. As presented.
And anyone second it? Councilor Wiseman just showed up and made the second. Call.
Fisher Brown.
Abstain?
Wiseman.
Abstain.
Gambino.
Yes.
Mathala.
Yes.
Bates.
Yes.
Grant.
Right.
Council table, Robert?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve accounts payable as presented.
I'll second that.
Call please.
Wiseman.
Yes.
Gambino.
Yes.
Mathala.
Abstain for reimbursement.
Bates.
Yes.
Grant.
Right.
Fisher Brown.
Yes.
Number 5, presentation of the Lions Club International 101 on 101. The ride for Sight and Sound, Pat Dunlap and Joe Smart. It's all yours, Pat.
Well, the first thing I'd like to introduce Jill, who owns Beluga Beads up the road, and she's gonna hand out some stuff. Before we get into this thing, I need to
Give us
remind
your name and address, please.
name, address. Okay, Pat Dunlop, 1275 Walking Wood, Depoe Bay. One of the things that I want to bring up is the county fair this weekend. The Lions Club will be there doing their health screening. There'll be free testing for diabetes, glaucoma, blood pressure, hearing, and what's the fifth one? I can never remember the fifth one, but anyhow, we're going to be there, and it's a free deal, and it'll be at the fairgrounds on Saturday from 10 till people go home. 4 or 5. Jill is in charge of this project, so I'm gonna let her go.
Okay. First, I'll get I'm Jill Smart. I live at 3150 Doherty Avenue in Depoe Bay. I'm the new owner of Beluga Beads. It used to be Roots Beads, just up north of Depoe Bay, but officially in Depoe Bay. I transferred with the Lions Club to the area, and one of the things I noticed last summer was lots of bikes going past my business, and hopefully trying to get some of them to stop at our businesses and spend a little money. Researched it out a little bit, and apparently bicyclists tend to spend 2 to 3 days instead of day trippers who come and spend maybe one night out here. So they actually spend more money. They tend to be 35 to 55 years old instead of younger, which was surprising to me. And they tend to be affluent. So they also tend to be very, very loyal to businesses that promote themselves as bike friendly. There is a program to do it. I just got approved as a bike friendly business through Travel Oregon. They have a separate website called Ride Oregon Ride. I would highly recommend that businesses locally do it, because the only one currently, before I got on, was Vacasa.com. which is the based out of Portland house rental place. So if you have a hotel or a restaurant, you might want to get designated as bike friendly. So part of what we're doing as Lions is not just fundraising. I'm sure you're all familiar with the fact that Lions do the sight and hearing testing in our schools. And due to the change now in the Oregon Health Plan, they are actually covering more glasses for kids. But to do that, they took money away from adults. So if you're in the 35 to 65 year range, you can't really get glasses through Medicare anymore. You have to get them someplace else. So that costs people jobs and puts them on a spiral down.
And they still collect used glasses. There's a case up at the post office for used eyeglasses.
And use hearing aids. But that's what we're doing, is raising money.
And scholarships.
We're raising money to do that sight and hearing testing. Lions, 2 years ago, under the state Good Samaritan law, got it passed so that we can actually hand out glasses once the person's been examined by a eye care professional and given a prescription. We can give them glasses that is close, even if it's not exact. So we're protected as a volunteer organization. These are not people that are gonna buy $400 to $800 glasses. These are people that are gonna go without. So that's what we do. We wanted to tie it into the community and do things that benefit the community as well as a community that is serving the community. But Lions not always be served. So we're looking to serve not only the people in need, but our fellow business people. And we did fill out an application. I don't know who I need to give it to. The event takes place on October 1st, so it will be after the season slows down. It's a bike ride, a 101K bike ride, so approximately 63 miles, going from Lincoln City to Yachats through Depoe Bay. It is a rolling start, which means they do not have to start in Lincoln City. They do not have to go the full distance. It's made so that everybody can ride the distance that they want to ride, stay in the community that they want to stay in the night before, because it starts in the morning. So we are encouraging people to come on Friday night, have a nice dinner, carb load, and then get up and go the next day. So the starting point in Depoe Bay is at the Surf Rider. They volunteered to be the starting point and have donated money to do so. Bike Newport in Newport, Rusty Truck in Lincoln City. There'll be another one in Waldport, and it will finish at the Lions Clubhouse in Yachats. We are operating under the Yachats Lions 501c3, so it is a nonprofit, tax-deductible event.
I love the name. It's gonna be October 1st. October is the 10th month, first day, so that's 101 on 101. I
On
can't think of that.
-1. So hopefully everybody can remember that. There is a website up, we have a Facebook page, and we would like to ask, if at all possible, if the city of Depoe Bay could maybe waive any permit fees that might be included in us riding through Depoe Bay. I didn't find an exact spot for that. I found one for city park event, park gazebo event. I didn't see one for a riding down the street event. So we filled out what we could, and the city of Depoe Bay will be named as a co-insuree, because Lions events are covered automatically for $1 million worth of insurance every event. So you guys will be named as co-insurers should you permit us to do this event. And if you would choose to waive, we could also name you guys as a sponsoring entity, and we would appreciate it. Any questions?
Along with that sponsoring entity, I think I hinted to Jerome outside the door there, there's going to be ditty bags with anything that we can get that says anything on it, so anything, any advertising you want to do. There's also going to be a raffle, so you could do the stay 2 nights, get one free, You could do the free dinner, or you can do a coupon that would be free clam chowder with an entree, or anything that we can put in that little bag.
So if you know of any business people that wanna help us out, we appreciate passing the word along. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please ask. Anything? Yes, sir.
I think it's awesome that you guys have organized this, I think it's great. 10 a.m. Depoe Bay, there'll be a Surfline,
Yes,
so there'll be probably quite a few people with bikes there.
we hope so, and we hope that there'll be several staying there.
The other
overnight,
thing that I think
so.
is gonna be neat, there's an organization, and we were hoping Norman would have been here with his dog. There's a tandem bicycle riding deal, where the sighted person is in the front and the blind person is in the back. Now, you have to know Norman, he says he wants in the front, and his
Yeah.
dog will tell him which way to go.
But one of the Newport Lions is a non-sighted man. He used to be a truck driver. He used to have his sight, was in a car accident, lost his sight. And now he has a seeing eye dog. But he jokes.
Oh, he's got a fantastic
He's
sense
got
of
a
humor.
great sense of humor, and he actually was one who told us about, there's a camp called Oral Hull near Salem, and it's for blind people, and every year they have it's for anybody who's blind or is sight impaired, legally blind, to come in the summertime and enjoy the outdoors in a safe way. Well, they have a tandem bicycle club that comes usually from Vancouver, Washington, and takes the blind people for rides around, and the lady who's executive director is a lion, and she said it's almost impossible to get the people off the back of the bike to come into dinner, because they're having so much fun. And I suggested to her, if she wants to get a hold of them, that we'd love to have them, because I think it would bring the media in a good way.
And of interest too, Norman was saying his dog was trained in a prison in Michigan.
Yep, there's a lot of prisons that are doing it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea.
And Coffee Creek Women's Facility here in Oregon is the organization that repairs and cleans all the glasses for us to distribute. It's the women's prison, and there's 12 to 15 women every year that are accepted into part of the program, and when they get out, if they complete the program, they are an optometrist technician, and they can walk right out into a job.
Yeah, it's shown,
I just had one quick question.
Sure.
I just got brand new glasses and my old pair, the frames are still perfectly serviceable and they're designer frames, but the lenses are a little damaged. I mean, as in they're
Turn them
scratched.
in and they'll make the
Turn them in,
decision.
they'll get some.
Yeah, turn them into the
They
post
can use the
office.
frames too, so,
Perfect.
so yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't was because the lenses were all scratched up and I didn't think you could do anything
See what
with them.
they can do with it.
And
Perfect.
hearing aids as well,
Okay, thank you.
so, yeah.
I know a lot of people that have gotten
Where do we
hearing aids.
take them again?
Post office, there's a box
Oh,
right on the
Anytime
counter.
you
Right,
see
yeah,
us,
yeah.
or you're welcome to come to a Lions meeting.
Yes,
Well, I'm usually working, but I will definitely drop them off. Thank you.
we could always use new members.
Yes,
I know, Tony's still thinking about it.
and meetings are not the most important thing about Lions. We don't really care to come to the meetings.
One of the things we're,
Honestly, we want you to come to our events,
yeah, and help.
and we want you to help, that's it.
The big thing that I think is happening pretty nice now, we've got, what, 6 or 7 members in, you're in the group in Newport.
Yeah,
6 or 7 members up here, Pacific Sea Lions, they've got about 6 or 7. Walport's got about the same number. We're sort of joining forces and we're having one meeting a month with a representative from each club. And then the second meeting of the month, go back to your club and figure out who needs help with what.
yeah,
And
so more like a
we're
consolidated.
stretching it out. I mean, you know, young people don't volunteer. Oh, excuse me, she
Yes,
does.
they will, and I'm not that young, but, you know, I've always said, how many young people have you asked? Because I asked my niece to become blind, she doesn't live here, she lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She's like, oh, isn't that what our uncle belonged to? He did, in Wisconsin, and she joined, and she absolutely loves it, absolutely loves it. She belongs to the club that Gerald Ford belonged to, and got Lion of the Year her second year because she brought in 15 younger members. So she's actually, she adores it. She's like, how come nobody ever asked? And I said, well, if we all asked a family member, even if they didn't live nearby, none of us would have problems with volunteers, because they've got all the energy in the world, and they got
That's
kids
right,
themselves,
husbands
it's
along
great.
now.
Yeah, they're big. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, if you wanna help, but you don't wanna join the Lions, we're more than happy to accept any assistance that you might wanna do. You know, I'm
Cash, labor, gifts, you name it, we'll take it.
Cool.
Do you have to approve our getting a permit for this, or is there a
Who do I
permit?
turn it- who do I turn it into?
Is it around the highway?
It will be along the highway,
That-
headed south.
That kind of is a state right away, so.
It is a state right of way, but, pretty much every town that we're going through has wanted us to go through their permitting process, so we thought we would come and present it, and
And we've been told
Ask
that we
if
have
it's
to
okay.
apply by May of next year, because Newport's donated money to them already.
yeah, Newport gave us some.
Is there any,
Yes.
is there any safety concerns, Cal?
Would
For
you
the-
ride a
for the
bicycle down
cyclists?
that road?
Would I ride a bicycle on that, right? No.
That's actually why we decided to hold it in October,
Uh-huh.
is because the traffic does drop down
Okay.
considerably.
So I'm just wondering if the city would be liable for anything that happened on 101, or, so we just,
It's also.
it's a matter of just
Make you aware.
decorum, that the city would love to have the event at Depoe Bay, then I would move that we,
Would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that the city not only consents, but celebrates the idea of having a bike ride through the city of Depoe Bay.
Second.
Made and seconded, call please.
Gambino,
Yes.
Mantala,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
Grant.
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes,
Wiseman.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You got your bike ride.
Yay, thank
Yeah.
you, appreciate it.
I have a question, Joe.
Sure.
I imagine you're already doing this, but, you know, as you go up Cape Follow, there's a bicycle. A lot of people choose to go straight up 101, which is
Right.
pretty dangerous because you're going real slow. But there is that cutoff that works really well, the
Yes.
other crest loop.
and it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
So you're gonna,
and it's old 101,
yeah.
so,
You
yeah.
gonna do that one, or are they gonna?
She's still working on the route, but, we want it to be what they call a metric century, which is 63. Right now it's at 55, so adding in these little side
Well,
trips.
going south, you're gonna have vehicles behind your bikes, so
Yeah,
that would be the obvious route.
yes, we're going south too, because if you're going north, you really don't even get to see the water.
I don't know how they're going over the bridge.
Hmm?
I don't
Very
know how they're gonna go over that
Very
bridge.
carefully, indeed. But please pass the word, the website is 101on101.com, so,
Thank you very much.
so let your bicyclist friends know. We appreciate it,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Pat. Item B, interview and appoint applicants to fill city council position number 2. There's Leslie still.
I was just gonna ask, hopefully you all had a chance to see Mr. Frank Lazzaroni's, withdrawal letter. So he won't be here tonight, he's withdrawing he's withdrawing his application, but you do have, Ms. Jeanette Rustin-Holman and Mr. Rick Laughlin. That's here. And Mr. Lazzaroni's here. I'm looking for Rick Laughlin, and I'm not seeing Mr. Laughlin.
What?
Mr. Laughlin is not present tonight. And I'm not sure if I'm saying Rustin Holman, correct?
Your microphone's very loud.
Oh, good.
So Rick Laughlin is here?
No, I don't see him.
No? No? You want to, Wolfman.
Yes.
Vanessa.
Yes. Can we step forward?
Now give us your address and your name.
Sure. Jeanette Preston, 630 Northeast Collins Street, Depoe Bay.
Thank you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I moved up here about, almost a year and a half ago. My husband transferred with the post office, and he works for the Newport facility. And I've been retired from a small district, utility district in Northern California for working on my fifth year, between fourth and fifth year. And I held the position of clerk of the board, secretary, treasurer for the board, assistant to the general manager. Kind of saw the posting and I thought, well, you know, my understanding is you give back after you sit on, work in these districts for a long time. I know this is the city council, but our district was, when I started there, it was like 3,000 constituents, and we grew to 5 in the 11-year tenure I was there. So I just took place in applying for some RDA funds. I think up here maybe you call it something as rural development funds for sewer. We had a $5 million loan that I was part of administrating and making that application. I worked closely with engineers and legal counsel to administrate that process. Takes about 2 years to get through it. I'm familiar with mapping and sitting in board meetings. You hear a lot of things, and that you get I guess you just get a flair for, you become familiar with all the processes that the board has faced and goes through. I remember when I took the job, the general manager told me, she says, now, you won't see things maybe once a year, maybe every other year, but it'll take a while, but you'll get used to what you come across your desk and what you see. And so I kind of got an education, and I thought, well, I can use it, and I can give it back. So that's why I kind of applied.
Yes, sir.
So, Janet, is that how you like to be addressed?
Jan.
Jan. Hey, Jan. So, you feel, what I'm getting from what you just said, that you could add to the public discourse for the council here in what specific area were you saying?
So I'm probably strongest in finance.
Okay.
Honestly, I did the budget, and I was the go-to person that went through the public audit every year.
And this, look at, I know this is kind of a hard
Sure.
question to answer. Is what what was the motivating factor that got you to step up to the plate?
I think that what I said is to give back. I have an experience in this form of such. I worked for a public utility district. We did sewer, dirty water. And so I'm just familiar with.
We do that here too.
Right. I see the little shed down on Collins. And so it was just to give back from experience.
Joe?
Beyond your experience, are there any,
Beyond what?
beyond your, or outside of your particular nuts and bolts experience, which is very relevant, by the way, but are there any other issues here locally that you know, is there like a particular project that you want to work on, or a particular issue that's affecting the city that you might want to give some particular attention to?
Like I said, if there was a need in budget or finance or something like that, I could bring that, but I don't have any personal
Okay.
agenda,
Okay.
personal.
So, I mean, it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think we all have, you know, particular little kind of pet issues that, you know, that we like to try and you know, bring some light to. And,
Right.
you know, so I was just wondering if, you know, but I think that your financial experience will be very relevant.
Counselor?
Thank you. Jan, I read your whole packet and I'm very impressed. I think you're absolutely very well experienced for this particular kind of work. The only thing I'm curious about, and it's just because I'm curious, as I was reading all the commendations, they're all dated 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I'm looking at two of them, they're almost the same date. Is that just because that's when you compiled this stuff?
Yeah, actually, at the time, in 2007, I applied for another job, and
So you got all of them.
And so I got them all because I've only had like 4 employers in my entire life. And when I started to gather them, it was like either they're dead or they were gone. And it was like, well, maybe I should build that portfolio before it's too late.
Well, thank you, and I think you're welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like, we're voting on one person tonight.
Well, that's up to the council if you want to proceed with the voting or not. Or not.
Was Mr. Walton given adequate notice of the meeting?
Yes, that's my understanding. I did not speak directly to him, but yes, I believe that he did. He was sent an email with the council agenda on August 11th.
Do we have a motion or just recommendation?
Oh, as far as, if, like I said, the council wants to proceed with voting tonight with your ballots.
I know I do.
I'm, well satisfied with what I read.
Does anybody need a ballot?
Just shut up. That's me.
Can we find
I
it?
said that before, I thought we had a break.
Yeah.
You have to change it up.
I know it's here somewhere.
Anybody?
Set it aside.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
A triple full, really? Ballots have all been turned in, and the vote is unanimous to appoint Jeanette Rustenhoven to council position number 2. So a motion to accept that tally of votes and appoint Dan to that position.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the tally of votes and appoint Jeanette to council.
Second.
And may all the gods have mercy on your son.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Call.
Mackellar,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Lyson,
Yes.
Gambino.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Reports of officers, boards, or standing committees? Bill? Okay. Public comments. Would somebody like to make a? No? Okay. Unfinished business. Request to waive, rate requirement to correct, or connect the city sewer system, 900 Southeast Highway 101. Okay, what do we got here, Ray?
That was, I did some research and, talked to the county. They're really, now we have some information from a, contractor that does boring, and he's actually given, up to 3 different quotes, and 3 different, not different prices. I think it's the same price every time, but it's 3 different quotes to 3 different, people interested in tying the sewer to that lot. And when I discussed it with Larry a little bit, and he was hoping to have the party actually move forward with trying to get tied into the manhole. So that's the one that's closest on South Point under the highway. And I guess they did testing years ago, according to my field operator. Eric said that they did do all that homework up to 2 years ago. So there is a way to get under the highway, under the mains. So it's probably what I would do is definitely get maybe a contractor to meet with me or somebody on site. I could get you the information on. I have a file that has, I think, 2 contractors that have given bids on that to go underneath the water mains. But it would definitely tie it into the sanitary sewer, which the county's actually really pursuing to push for that. So I guess that's kind of where we're at in that direction. So that's kind of the answer, all I have.
Yes, sir.
So I want to get your information straight. So at this point, you haven't had a chance to test whether we can get under that road with this line.
It already has been checked. And there's been quotes given.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can go through anything anymore. Or they can bore through anything.
So
it doesn't matter if it's solid rock. It doesn't matter. They can bore right through it. They've tested it. I guess they've got whoever the contractor was. I don't have their name right offhand. But they actually potholed and everything, and they were going to do the job, and then somebody had backed out of whoever was going to. So,
and it was quoted to whoever it was at that point in time,
right,
some years ago, to do that. And so,
it's when the last people were in working on the home, the last group.
So and if I'm understanding, the city-county is encouraging the city or from you to go ahead and use that avenue.
Yeah, the rule is it's apply into a manhole at any cost in city district.
Okay.
Because at the closest location is less than 300 feet. And the manhole is 270. So
we have any record of what the estimates of cost was? What was going to be for the pump?
No, that was like civil between the contractor and the person owning it. Yeah, the city we just have to make sure that it's tied into sanitary sewer and not, a septic system in the city district.
Right.
Unless it's deemed literally impossible, then that's what the county permit coordinator said. It's literally impossible.
He used the word impractical.
or, yeah, practical, then they could, work it, where they would, allow a second tank system in a leach field right along the highway there.
Yeah, that's, so my question is, Mr. Mayor, for, remind me your name?
Paul.
Paul, is that, you're asking for us to waive that? And for you to put, a drainage field in there?
Okay, the county regulations were that if you were, with the city thing, was if you were within 300 feet of a sewer connection, you had to hook up unless it was impractical. And from what we were understanding, it was impractical to come in underneath the highway due to the water mains and the unknown conditions underneath there. And so that's why we were asking for the waiver, because county said that if the city would sign off on impracticality, then he would issue the permit for the septic tank replacement. Now, that brings us from a cost of, we've had a John Thompson Excavating look at the project, and we've got $5,000 to replace the septic tank. The drain field is still operable. The county had no record of any faults on it, but the septic tank is got a hole on it. It's a metal tank, so it's rusted through, so it's not usable. Now, Grady mentioned that there had been a bid for it before, and that it was dropped with previous owners. Well, we're taking it over from the previous owners, and the paperwork we had from there, the county had issued a permit for a complete repair for that system. Septic tank and drain field with a pump system behind it. And so given that information and the fact that they said it was impractical to go to hook up to the sewer, for us, we're looking at the bid that we got was $23,000. $23,000 puts our project in jeopardy, and it becomes impractical for us.
Was it?
My question is, what date was that permit issued?
Back in 2008, about or 9, I didn't bring the papers.
So it's not likely then that any sort of regulation or anything would have changed that would negate that permit? So, and, okay, so if the county, and I have to say that, you know, if I were the one that were paying the bills on that project, I would say that that is a highly impractical number,
Yeah.
you know.
I would get,
The
well, I
boring-
would get a quote from a boring, contractor.
And it's not only just the boring, you've got the lay of the line in and everything, so. it's
Yeah,
a
that's all
project.
included, that's when they bore, that's the line.
It's hooking up. and
They
putting-
just, you'd have to do the SDCs, but, there'd be a clean out in your yard, and you just run the existing, you just tie it from the old drain field from the home, you just tie the line right into the lateral.
Technology has changed, it's improved. Yeah.
And they would bore it right from the yard, right, bounce right into the manhole, and you just cut a hole in the concrete manhole and grout it. And
The
then,
pipe is laid at the same time as the bore.
Oh, yeah, technology, yeah.
So the quote that we've had just recently on that was $23,000. Like I say, that puts us in jeopardy.
so the one I remember was less than, it was just a little more than 5, the one I remember. For just the bore.
Well, we've got the pumping station and the line.
There's no pump involved, it's all fall sewer,
Okay.
there's no pump. I think you're referring to, a pump line that runs down the highway.
No, that was quoted at a different price.
Oh, okay. I would,
23,000 was the quote we had from John Thompson to take and run the line in.
To the manhole?
To the manhole. Using the board.
wow, I'd get a second quote. I could put you in touch with, I have a file that has, I can't recommend anybody, but there's several boring contractors that do this kind of thing all the time. It's pretty common all through every.
So I wanted to ask you is, if you could have what you need done and to get that floor done for, you know, on budget for what you've allotted, you would do that, right?
If we could get a cost figure, yeah,
Okay.
that was reasonable, but
Okay.
23,000 just puts us way out of reach.
I cannot disagree with you on that, I really can't.
And the fact that there was a county permit issued for a complete repair, which eliminated the present drain field and put in a new tank and a new drain field on the property.
I just wanted to clarify too, is that permit still valid?
No, it
It is not. When did it expire?
expired, they canceled the job a couple of years.
Ah,
After a
okay.
couple of years, it languished and
Okay.
got canceled.
Okay, so circumstances being what they are and being essentially the same as when the permit was originally issued, have you inquired as to whether or not you could get a new permit if you were given this waiver?
If we were given this waiver, Quinn, the man, said that he could issue a permit to replace the septic tank. And our condition on the top of that would be that when sewer becomes readily available and practical, then we would hook up. Even though our system is already, still functioning, when it became available in a practical manner, we would do. And that would be a condition that we would have to put in. We're not trying to get out of it, we're just trying to be able to afford to do it.
Well, it seems pretty reasonable to me.
What does the county have to say about this?
They recommend tying into sanitary sewer, but he doesn't like the fact of the leach field being there in the first place. But if the council deems it, like he said, impractical, that would make sense if you had to go a quarter mile down Highway 101, you go through ODOT. I doubt they would permit that for a 2-inch line down there right away. Probably have to go through, that's in order to get to the manhole that's on the east side of the highway. In order to get to the manhole that's just across the highway from him would mean going underneath through with a bore, but that would have fall sewer, just be a fall right, have a clean out in the yard and go right to the manhole quickly.
That's the simplest way to do it then.
Yeah, but the best thing to do is if it was me, I would get other quotes. I could work with a file that I have. I can't really recommend anybody, and this is the only problem.
So do we need a motion activity or just, to move this thing forward, Paul, we rely on the city supervisor, looking at things one of the things that red flag is its proximity to 101 and inside the city water district, okay? So that it would be more meaningful to me if you had 3 estimates from companies, okay, whatever your choice, that had that dollar amount, that seemed impractical, okay? And I'm not seeing that. We've got your word, and I have no reason to question that, but we're talking about a public process here.
Mm-hmm.
And so any evidence that you can give us that it's impractical with today's technology would be meaningful for me. With the lack of that, at least from my standpoint, I would make a motion that we, for the present time, table this until you bring.
So you would request that we
Yeah.
bring several more bids, 2 more.
We could check with some contractors, because it's the crew, when we do stuff like this and it goes to a manhole, the crew usually, like after SDCs, we do inspection stuff, we always make sure that, we're involved and we're taps into the manhole. So the crew's gonna be there to assist in making sure it's done correctly, whatever we can to expedite it while the road's closed down. And so, the contractors know that, so, if I'm there and while you're negotiating costs with them, it may go better than you think, so.
Well, at this point, I would be willing to take and explore a couple more bids, try and get a little more information in that would take and either substantiate one way or the other.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I haven't had it.
Yeah, but you've already spoken.
That's true, you're right. Thank you.
Actually, I do, come to think of it, so yeah, you should be.
You are such a gentleman. I was just going to ask you, would the next city council meeting, which I believe is the 6th of September, would that give you enough time, and you and Brady to get some written bids? Because I have to tell you, I'll be honest, I'm inclined to grant your request, but I would like to have a little, some written backup, just to, just so we have, in the record that, yes, this is an impractical amount. And, would that give you enough time you guys enough time to do that? Okay.
Yeah, there's avenues that you can go tie into other jobs with, there's ways to get the cost down.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case.
And I could really help him walk through that.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'll go ahead and second Jerome's motion, and we'll just plan on seeing you at the next meeting.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna mention is, I am of the thought that if the county says, we want you to go into the road within 300 feet, if it's feasible, I'm always thinking about liability down the road. And if the county says one thing and we do something, and we allow you to do something else, then we could actually be, the city can somehow, I think, be in a way liable. So I'm of the ilk to say, absolutely not, go on the road. I just can't believe the cost. That just, $5,000 to do a whole septic tank?
Yeah, one of the,
$23,000 for some.
the fecal coliform thing with the leach field and the stream being on the other side, that's, I think, one of the main issues with the ocean being so close. There's a stream just on the other side of the highway. If it leaches, it's gonna leach towards the ocean. Maybe that's a lot of what the county's concern is. And it's not just that permit coordinator, it's other colleagues that Larry and I talked to, so, in the county. So.
Brady, is there a well there on the other side?
There's a well that's downstream, or it's up by Little Well Cove, actually. So it would be to the south. Approximately, probably a quarter of a mile to the south. There's a emergency backup well for the city. There's a pretty big sized aquifer under the water, under the highway. So, there's a number of issues that, mainly it's a coliform issue.
That would be fecal, Cal.
Yeah.
So do you recommend, we put this on hold to the next meeting or two, or what?
Yeah, I'll
Give
yeah.
an
I'll
answer.
work with Paul to do what I can, but,
That's-
And I would imagine, with that also, if you decide that you found a way better price and want to go through with that, you can have that. You don't have to come back.
If there was a reasonable amount, I could see doing it, but the number that we have to work with is really, we've got 3 retired people and 1 working person, and we're trying to make this thing pull together, and it just, yeah,
It's a big chunk of change.
big change. Unexpected, because we were under the impression it was a new septic system, given all that paperwork that was in the file.
So Brady, then, if we postpone this to our next meeting, we can have an answer then,
yeah, absolutely.
one way or
We'll
another.
just get the council to decide one way or the other. We'll bring all the info to the council when we know, I guess, it's kind of a civil issue between him and the contractor, but, I'll do what I can.
But we're willing to be open with whatever we come up with. It's all our decision, really.
Go ahead, Jerome.
It reminds me of a Latin phrase here, this situation, copy that, let the buyer beware.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And knowing, having looked at that property over the last, say, 5 years, because it was up for sale for what looked to be a bargain price, okay? That going into it, you know, if I don't wanna know what yet, it's a matter of public record, probably how much you paid for it. But when I looked at that property just for sale, it looked, wow, I wonder what's wrong with that? You know, that is, so,
If you
I
take a
mean-
look at the inside, you can see a whole lot.
right,
would
I'm
turn
just
a lot of
saying that,
people off.
there, you know, there was probably bound to be issues that, it was up to you to, you know, that unexpected things come up.
Well, we've dealt with on one already through the council with the water situation. And, yeah.
All right, then, we'll postpone this till next meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Make a decision one way or another.
there's a motion on the,
What?
motion that's been made and seconded to table the motion, so.
Table the issue.
It's a table, there's a motion that's been made and seconded to table. the
We can
issue.
do that as well, or we can just agree to it.
Okay, so we don't have to go do a
So
voice vote
what
on
do you want to
Withdraw the second.
do? Motion?
I made the
Follow
motion,
procedure.
she seconded it. If you don't mind it.
All right, call.
Bates,
Aye.
Hay, Grant.
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman.
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Matlock.
Yes.
Thank you for your
See
time.
you
Till we
next
meet
week.
again.
Till we meet again.
Thank you.
How persistence is the most powerful force in the universe.
It works for water.
Now, then, on to, Part B, the parking lot acquisition.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with the determinations that we made on the 3 issues at hand discussed in executive session.
Second.
Call.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman.
Yes.
Camp,
Yeah, you wasn't here.
Gambino,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Bates.
Yes.
And you.
It didn't hurt bad. Yeah.
You think so, Ghosty?
On to new business.
Yeah. It will.
Item A, proposed ordinance number 308, an ordinance providing consent and approval of the assignment and transfer of telecommunications franchise from Coast Guard Corp. to Astound Broadband LLC, a wholly owned direct subsidiary of Wave Division Holdings LLC, and declaring emergency. Do you have any words of wisdom on that, Council?
I was just gonna ask if the council is ready to proceed with our ordinance adoption process, and I see a councilor's hand raised, so I'll not ask my question yet.
My question is, who wrote this ordinance? Was it COSCOM and Wave that wrote the ordinance for us? Were they nice enough to provide us a copy of what they want and put it in front of us to vote on?
They did provide a draft, which
Okay.
was revised by your trusty city staff.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at some of the losses that the city will incur by, over this merger, and I'm just wondering, I'm not sure I like that. I mean, in their own report, I think here, let's see, there's some substantial losses over the short term for the city in this merger and franchise agreement with the city. And at this time, I'd like to find out if that can be mitigated.
If I may, Mr. Greg Miller and Mr. Matt Uppenfelder are present in the audience if the council has any questions before we would begin the adoption process. or after we begin the adoption process?
Yes.
I too, Council Grant, had a concern about the loss of some revenue. So I inquired about it, and it was explained to me that it's simple. Well, it's mathematics, one taking over another. One is no longer a customer of ours, it's a customer of theirs. So that's why it's a loss.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, when you have two entities paying franchise fees to the city, okay, that, excuse me if I'm wrong, but do we have a current contract with both these entities? Or franchise agreement?
We do.
Okay.
The franchise agreement with
How long
Wade,
does it go for?
well, the COSCOM franchise was a 7-year franchise, and we are 3 years into that.
Okay.
And then it has renewal terms. You all had a copy of ordinance 297 that was attached to the memo, and that is the COSCOM franchise agreement. The Wade broadband franchise agreement is, I don't remember the ordinance number, but it's for cable television franchise, is what it is. It's quite old. It actually expired about 5 years ago. We've been negotiating with Wade on renewing that franchise and continuing negotiations on that franchise. They're still paying the franchise. It's ongoing, even though, like I say, it expired in 2011. So that's our negotiation. So in answer to your question, yes, we do have agreements with COSCOM and an agreement with Wade, but they're for different things.
Right.
Like I say, the Wade is for cable television, and COSCOM is for telecommunications. So COSCOM is asking for the city's consent to assign their franchise to Astound Broadband, AKA Wade.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, though, Murray. Is that, so Wade doesn't have a franchise agreement to provide internet services to customers currently?
Yeah, there's a federal law on internet service. We could actually have an executive session on this alone.
Okay.
We set aside 4 hours for it. It's occurred from 3 lawyers ago, and I've had root canals that have been easier.
Okay, so I'm looking at, on this memo dated August 12th, 2016, to Mayor and City Councilors from Prairie. I'm looking at, okay, we got the regarding yada, yada, yada. I'm looking to third paragraph. Upon transfer of the COSCOM franchise to Astound /Wade, the city will experience a reduction of franchise fee revenue of approximately $8,000 annually. Okay, annual revenue was $11,500, 2016. Annual revenue was in 2015-16 was $12,050. I guess I'm also a little confused because if we have a franchise agreement with COSCOM over providing broadband service, and we don't, and Wade is only television, or and we don't have a franchise agreement for them to provide data or access to the internet. How come?
Number seven on the proposed ordinance, you call it the wait and see provision, and it was actually provided to me by Wade's legal counsel. There's several court cases. There's actually 2 court cases pretty important. One was a state of Oregon one with the city of Eugene, the other one was a federal one. And their claim is because they're internet service provider, that any telecom that happens on those lines is without franchise. And there's a federal law that says internet service providers can't be They're including it to include everything that goes out of that pipeline. The City of Eugene tested that, they lost at the Supreme Court. They then wanted to wait for the FCC ruling on whether or not the FCC viewed it as telecommunications. They lost that one too. While that's going on, then they have the merger totally, they're totally separate from each other. This, like I say, this is going on 3 lawyers ago, and it's still going on. And, but 7 hopefully tries to capture some of that. Seriously, for me to even give you a thumbnail sketch would take hours of executive session.
Okay.
So I can just tell you that 7 tries to recapture that. We have a 2-year, hopefully recapture period. If some litigation or act of Congress occurs before then, we will hopefully regain some of that.
So let me, so the public knows when we grant a franchise fee, it's not just over the water. They've got access to our public right of way within the city. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we're giving them the rights to bore, string lines, do all sorts of little different things to be able to transport data to their customers over our public property. And we're willing to do that for really a very nominal amount of money.
And frankly, Charter Communications, where we get served by, they just charge the customer. So I understand. Some Comcast and Wave and some other companies, for some reason, have just dug in their heels about this, and other companies, it just shows up on their bill. There's a franchise fee for cable, there's a franchise fee for telecommunications, and the internet service component is tax-free, as Congress says so. So every company chooses to do it differently. They happen to be in the Comcast mode of sue everybody, let's see what shakes out. So generally, you could be dealing with a different type of company. Unfortunately, this is a small town, so we have who we have.
Right, right. But we also have, I'm sorry about another counselor. Do you have your hand up?
Well, go ahead and finish.
No, it's just, we also have, just by chance of circumstance, I have a backbone to the internet located here in the city of Depoe Bay.
Which is now owned by Wave,
Right, right.
which is the internet service provider,
So,
which has Congress behind it.
Thank you.
We should have an executive session, seriously.
Okay.
This is
All right.
almost getting to be,
all right.
I can almost give you too much info.
Okay.
That's probably one executive session I'll have to excuse myself from. This is all well above us. This is, most of this, not this, but most of these laws are done in a court much higher than ours. And we can't touch internet right now. I've read this through its entirety, and I think it's good. It's just, we gotta take it. The $8,000 loss, there's nothing we can do about it. So therefore, I would like to make a motion that we proceed with the adoption of the ordinance with the first reading.
I'll second.
I know that you're not an attorney, okay?
Absolutely correct.
All right. We have council present, all right? So, and council is recommending an executive session to vet.
Point of order. He did not recommend an executive session. He said it would take an executive session and 3 hours of one to explain all this.
Well, he wanted me to stop, let me get this straight, and let's ask him, he's sitting right here, okay? Would you recommend, rather than discussing some of the fine points of this ordinance or in approving it and taking the loss to the city, to answer some of, say, my questions or other questions of the council, that we would adjourn to executive session or not?
I will tell you that this is the best deal I believe we can get at the moment. So the executive session would be to explain how we got to this deal, but I'm not saying that the executive session is necessary for you to vote on the deal. I'm just saying it would probably be necessary to explain why I believe this is the best we can do at the moment. So
what I'm also hearing from you is that there's other communities, say in Newport, that have, that pass the, what is it, the franchise fee on to the
Yes.
customer?
Cities the size of Eugene,
Uh-huh, but you said Newport.
cities the size of Newport, I mean,
Okay.
but they have a different provider.
Right.
And there's a group of, we consider them the Comcast group as one group that sues everybody and fights everything. And Charter just passes it through. A lot of people perceive it philosophically as, it's just a pass through to the customer. And it's a way to, I mean, we're getting into some detail, but it's a way to go ahead and,
Mr. Gager and council, what I'm saying, there's a, in the memo, I mean, here by Curry, there's this annual loss, okay? I mean, and let's say it was just for the duration of the current franchise agreement, that really for a company to step forward and, let's see, experience a reduction in the franchise fee revenue of approximately $8,000 annually. So, are you telling me that if we refuse without mitigation on that annual revenue reduction, that we can't do that? We can't negotiate them, finishing out one or the other that has that we're taking that loss from, and saying, well, for 5 years we want that $8,000.
if you have enough money, we can do anything.
Okay.
Litigation costs a lot of money.
All
So
right.
I'm with you, I'm going to,
If I may,
Yep, yes, please.
the reason for the loss of revenue is not, because this is a transfer of the existing franchise agreement, that's for telecommunications, 7%. But the reason for the loss is because COSCOM's biggest customer was Wave. So Wave, when they are the owner of this franchise agreement, they're not gonna build themselves. So away goes that revenue source that is, well, frankly, 2/3 of COSCOM's revenue in Depoe Bay. That's where the loss comes. So Wave would accept this telecommunications franchise, but their customer base, their customer revenue is quite reduced, because they're not gonna build themselves. That's where the loss comes.
I get you, Curry, but we're also granting a valuable quantity
Yes,
for the
absolutely.
people in the city, I mean, for them
Yes.
to have access to the people of the city of Depoe Bay. Also, there's some fine points of business why Wave is acquiring COSCOM, okay? That, you know, that they're at a certain point, because fiber's strong, and especially in today's world, okay? Even as opposed to 5 years ago, the cost of stringing that fiber from one place to another has gone up not exponentially, but linearly, okay? In other words, it's just continued. So it's probably cheaper. I'm gonna just guess. I could be way off, but I've given some thought to this, okay, before this meeting, all right? That Wave is buying Comcast because it's cheaper for them to have access to that fiber over X amount of years on ROI, return on investment, than it would be for them to do it themselves, okay? That's the only way it makes business sense to
Yeah,
me.
and I only
Okay.
wanted to clarify
Okay.
that.
So,
that was
and again, coming back to Little Depot Bay,
I'm not
I'm
arguing
just saying we
for
could
you.
have, you know, I think maybe we could make a better deal, maybe not.
Okay, Counselor, we could end up in an executive session, and we can't make any decisions in executive session. So if we go to that and come back to where we are now, we're talking about the same thing.
And that's 3 hours of our life we'll
Unless we
never
can
get back.
excuse me,
Sorry.
unless we can justify the counselor's wages for gaining this amount, whatever that may be, then there's no sense in even going any further with it.
And frankly, that's the main reason I recommend it. I don't agree with it either. But because the cost benefit analysis of pursuing them is, and they know it, is more expensive than that amount of loss. The best we can do is we revisit it. I believe the best we can do is revisit it in 2 years and, take them on. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think their reading of the law is strictly in their favor, as they believe it should be. But Dave Gordon was involved, Christy Monson was involved. I came into this at the beginning of the year, and this file was already this thick over, I mean, really? So, yeah, I don't agree with it either, but I really, truly believe that I would be more expensive pursuing this than that amount of money is worth. And as long as we've got a wait and see provision, we'll have some clarity in the courts, maybe Congress will act. But yeah, you need to know who you have as a franchisee. It's not COSCOM. This is not the warm and fuzzy COSCOM anymore. These are who you have now. So just keep that in mind.
So how much is worth being right, worth? I understand what you've been saying, and you're exactly correct. These people are getting away with so-called murder, but there isn't much we can do about it. And unless we just
2 years. I'll calendar my calendar if you calendar yours.
No, yeah, I mean, there's been a motion, we can read the order, I don't have to vote for it. I can be, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. I don't call it murder, I call it business, and there's not much we can do about it, and there's a motion on the floor. And I think it's about time that we get moving with it.
unless there's any other comment, call please.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman, Gambino,
Yes.
Matheson,
Yes.
Bates,
Yes.
Grant.
Nay.
Okay, just for clarification, on the motion was to proceed with adoption of ordinance with the first reading. So, and it passed. So at this point, I will ask the council, we will start the first and second reading based on this motion passing that we're gonna proceed with that tonight. So I'm gonna do my usual asking of the council, if you would move to read first and second reading by title only, or I will read the entire ordinance at first and second reading.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move that we read the first reading of the ordinance by title only. First and second readings by title only.
Second?
Call.
Some discussion, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, just before we, the one thing that kind of just rubs me, because I've seen ordinances written by the people that it benefits come before, even the state of Oregon, I just don't like it. Right? And so, I mean, basically, our franchise, our attorney didn't have much to do with this. This was written by them. Okay, who do you think it benefits? Us or them? That's all I have to say.
You know, how much it's worth to be right.
Is that a question to me, Mr. Mayor? I don't know. I think that everybody has a threshold where, if you back somebody up against a corner, usually 9 people out of 10 will fight. I don't know if that's the case, but what does it cost to be right? I don't know.
If I could see any
I don't know
way,
that if I am right.
if I could see any way of us prevailing at this point, I'd be all for it. Unless you can prove to me that's the case.
I'm thinking, from where I standpoint, and I wasn't a part of the negotiations, but I think that we may have been able to negotiate a better deal for the city, a modestly better deal. That's all.
Call please.
Wiseman, Andino,
Yes.
Matla,
Yes.
Bates,
Yeah.
Grant,
Yeah.
Fisher Brown.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to read the ordinance, proposed ordinance 308 by title only at first and second readings did pass. So I'll proceed with the first reading of proposed ordinance 308 by title only. An ordinance providing consent and approval of the assignment and transfer of telecommunications franchise from Postcom Inc. to Astound Broadband LLC, a wholly owned direct subsidiary of Wave Division Holdings LLC, and declaring an emergency. And at this first reading, are there any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Mr. Miller has his hand
Yes.
raised.
Fred Miller with Wave and Astound, Brooklyn, Washington. Mayor and council, I appreciate the chance to speak real briefly. Enough's been said tonight. We do want to move forward with respect and the work that Postcom has done. We want to continue to keep in the same traditions they've had of service. Some things have said about us that we're like Comcast. I just bristle at that. We are, as personally speaking for myself, I wouldn't be here at all if a company was at all like Comcast. Not litigation happy in any way. The agreement you have does have the maximum that is allowed under state law, 7% to be assessed as franchise fees. Yes, Query's done a good job to analyze that. Yes, there will be a transaction done, but again, that's a function of the fact that a business is buying another business, and we don't need to sell to each other anymore. I will point out too that Mr. Ginger's done a good job also of requiring that there'll be a not to exceed 5% fee on the cable franchise fee. That alone will raise something in about $5,700 a year of additional revenues from the cable franchises. The reason we didn't want to do the internet fee portion now is because, again, like most cable companies, franchise fees are passed through. I get it on my garbage bill and I get it on my telecom bill, passed through to customers. If the courses of the various cases are going to take place, they will probably shake out within the 2 years, and we didn't want to put both our company and you as a city in the terrible spot of having to, if the decision goes the other way, and internet is not to be assessed a fee, it would be an incredible nightmare, more than anybody's attorney's fees, to try to go back and figure out how to allocate those franchise fees back to a household that may not even exist anymore. So we said, could we please forbear? Yes, we did provide a draft, but Mr. Gintner, with a lot of red ink, did revise that draft and did a good job of negotiating on your behalf. We're happy to be here. We hope we're well received in town. We'd like to move forward. We ask for your help.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I appreciate you telling us that Mr. Gidner negotiated a good deal on our behalf. Okay? Now, I have no doubt that Mr. Gidner did his best job, but, you know, hear from you, I don't know, it just feels wrong.
Any other questions? Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments on proposed ordinance? Mr. Upton Calvert?
I'll be brief. So I spent a lot of time with the city of Depoe Bay when we went through the franchise, when we went through the Collins Street addition here, and we built the second backbone out of Depoe Bay. And I just want you to know that I'm still committed to the community. As a Astound broadband employee, I will be continuing to work with all the same staff at COSCOM. They are signing extended leases at Newport. They're going to maintain the Newport operation. I will still maintain all of my staff that I have now. So, you know, I live in Newport. Well, technically I live in Toledo because the weather's a lot nicer. But, you know, I'm here. You know that my cell phone is always on. I've had conversations with most everybody in the room about all kinds of different things. And, you know, I'm here as a representative of COSCOM, but also as a representative of Astound now. So if there's something that's wrong that needs to be addressed, I implore you to call my cell phone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if the council's ready to move to adopt at the first reading, oh, and I would add, we have received no written comments on the proposed ordinance. Didn't mention that.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt ordinance number 308 at the first reading.
Second.
Discussion? No? Call please.
Gambino,
Yes.
Mathew,
Yes.
Bates, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Grant,
Nay.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to adopt at the first reading passed, but not unanimously. And for the city charter, the second reading is held over to the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you. D, proposed resolution number 452, resolution setting solid waste removal fee pursuant to ordinance number 277 as amended, superseding resolution number 436.
Last meeting, Tina French from North Lincoln Sanitary reviewed, provided her rate review to you, and said that she was going to be asking for, or was asking for a CPI increase of 0.425%. So the resolution before you will formally adopt that new rate schedule, which will be effective September 1st of this year. This is part of the process. When they ask for a rate change, the city council accepts it and adopts it through resolution. So that's what that's all about.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve and adopt resolution number 452, setting solid waste removal fees.
Second.
Discussion, please. No discussion, call.
Mathew,
Yes.
Bates,
Yeah.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino.
Yes.
On to correspondence.
I don't have any.
No.
Do you guys have any? Wait for Christmas cards. What is that?
The picnic table?
Oh, I gave you a copy. There's a couple that lives up on North Point, right smack next door to the Lee Street, scenic view area, that Brady's been working on, developing a trail and putting in a picnic table and putting in some big rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
Yeah.
Parks Commission's been working on that, and Brady's been doing that work. So they donated $1,000 towards the purchase of that picnic table.
Nice.
It's like a earthy concrete picnic table that the waves won't wash.
It doesn't,
That's
Mother
very
Nature
nice.
won't make it go away.
Excellent.
At least not for a while.
Okay, that's what that is. Thanks.
Cool. It's very nice.
Okay, is that it? All right. City staff report.
You go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that we have an election coming up in November, and we have the 3.5 council positions and the mayor's position, and I've got some people that are filed out there approved for gathering signatures, but the deadline of August 30th is coming up, so just remind.
Okay, I will get started. The water management and conservation plan that the city had done over the last year is complete, and it's been approved by the state Water Rights Services Division of Oregon, and also by Nikki Hendricks, District 1 Water Master. And it's been returned back to us for any comments, and then Return back to the contractor is GSI Water Solutions. You remember Adam, he did the bit of a seminar with us explaining some of the water rights for Rocky Creek and North Creek, and talked a little bit about the Water Master Conservation Plan. So it's complete and it's submitted and it's done. It's been an ongoing project since towards the mid to late 90s, and it was never done, wasn't really complete to the state's satisfaction, but it currently is, and we're up to all their standards. So that is filed and good for many, many years. So that's done. And put away for now. Maybe we can close that for a while. So ODOT, remember ODOT's making us move our water mains out here on the highway. They're putting in culverts. It's a refresher. So what the crew and myself did here we hired a contractor to help install the 10-inch valve to isolate the main line in between where ODOT's going to be working, and it's currently off, and we're still providing water to Morocco through Little Well Cove, so we're letting that see how that works, and we're checking the fire flows through the next couple days, and residuals for chlorine and everything, so we're up to code with that. It's quite an extensive project. We're just making sure it's going to work. We'll turn the valves back on, and then we're kind of waiting for ODOT now to get their contractor on board and start their culvert project. At that point, we're going to revert Rocky Creek alongside the highway down in kind of the gully off the asphalt. You know, the highway sits up a little bit high through that area, so the temporary water main will be down over the embankment, kind of covered with some gravel and then protected. But it's raw water, it's not potable drinking water, but it does provide the city, while we're working on our reservoir, it's our vital link. Like I said, we're being tube fed for probably a good month while ODOT does these culverts. But it looks like we're abiding by their mandates, and gas company is currently, if you see the yellow pipe along the highway, that's Northwest Natural replacing that 4-inch that they're having to do. They're boring that under the ground. So they're boring 700 feet of 4-inch gas main at night. They're working at night. They start at 7, and we're letting them stage at the wastewater plant because it's behind the lock gate. So we're letting them store stuff back there because we have a good room. So I figured the city would allow them to do that just so their equipment's safe during the day. The reservoir is clean. We've taken, so the bid was for 2,000 cubic yards of silt that had settled in the bottom, and it turned out when we let the water out, it was more like 6,000 cubic yards. It was three times what we thought. So we actually had a site over in Track D over here in Little Well Cove. We ran out of room over there right off the bat, so we had to scurry and find a secondary site, which is in Glenning Beach, and they hauled almost half of the silt to Glenning Beach, but there's going to be a cost for dumping. I'm still yet to get the final cost on that, but it's like maybe $2 a load or something. It's not a whole lot, but it's going to be a few $1,000s. There's several dump truck loads. There's up to 70 dump truck loads taken out there each day. And there was like 4 days of 70 dump truck loads. And all that adds up. I mean, there's probably well over 150 dump truck loads at Track D. And it's dry pretty quick. They're also going to allow Devil's Lake Rock to backfill their on Track D when they do Coast Avenue, which kind of segues into my next is Devil's Lake Rock is going to start Coast Avenue right after Labor Day. So that's going to be mainly storm sewer at first, which is like catch basins and storm pipes for rain runoff. And it's probably a good idea because if there's ever a problem with our main, say if the water main gets broken, there's really nowhere for that water to go but into the homes and into the ocean. So through yards, it's probably a good idea to have that storm addressed as we move along in case there's an accident in Murphy's Law. if we're gonna break anything, I think it's gonna probably be service lines to homes. So we stocked up on repairs and stuff, but, we'll see. It's gonna go through, if we start Labor Day, October, November, you know, right in that area, December, maybe early December, when they're probably gonna be complete. That's if they run into inclement weather, slows things down. So, you know, heavy rains and stuff, it's really hard to move along. So, but at least Coast is getting addressed, and, it's a good contractor. They're the folks that worked on, Vista Force Main, and it went so well, and it's because they're pretty efficient, and we've worked with them for many, many years, so we're used to working with our crew, and we're used to how they operate and stuff, so.
Question?
Sure.
Brady, so